Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, Book 2 of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Before, the boy and the girl had once dreamed of ships. Long ago, before they'd ever seen the true sea, they were the vessels of stories, magic ships with masts hewn from sweet Kedar and sails spun by maidens from thread of pure gold. Their crews were white mice who sang songs and scrubbed the desks with their pink tails. The Verhandler was not a magic ship. It was a Kerch trader, its hold bursting with millet and molasses. It stank of unwashed bodies and the raw onions the sailors claimed would prevent scurvy. Its crew spat and swore and gambled for rum rations. The bread the boy and the girl were given, spilled weevils, and the cabin was a cramped closet they were forced to share with 2 other passengers and a barrel of salt cod. They didn't mind. They grew used to the clang of bells sounding the hour, the cry of the gulls, the unintelligible gabble of Kerch. The ship was the kingdom, and the sea a vast moat that kept their enemies at bay. The boy took to life aboard ship as easily as he took to everything else. He learned to tie knots and mend sails, and as his wound healed, he worked the lines beside the crew. He abandoned his shoes and climbed barefoot and fearless in the rigging. The sailors marveled at the way he spotted dolphins, schools of rays, bright striped tigerfish, the way he sensed the place a whale would breach the moment before its broad, pebbled back broke the waves. They claimed they'd be rich if they just had a bit of his luck. The girl made them nervous. 3 days out to sea, the captain asked her to remain below decks as much as possible. He blamed it on the crew's superstition, claiming that they thought a woman aboard ship would bring ill winds. That was true, but the sailors might have welcomed a laughing, happy girl, a girl who told jokes or tried her hand at the tin whistle. This girl stood quiet and unmoving by the rail, clutching her scarf around her neck, frozen like a figurehead carved from white wood. This girl screamed in her sleep and woke the men dozing in the foretop. So the girl spent her days haunting the dark belly of the ship. She counted barrels of molasses, studied the captain's charts. At night, she slipped into the shelter of the boy's arms as they stood together on the deck, picking out constellations from the vast spill of stars, the hunter, the squaller, the 3 foolish suns, the bright spokes of the spinning wheel, the southern palace with its 6 crooked spires. She kept him there as long as she could, telling stories, asking questions, because she knew when she slept she would dream. Sometimes she dreamed of broken skiffs with black sails and decks slick with blood, of people crying out in the darkness. But worse were the dreams of a pale prince who pressed his lips to her neck, who placed his hands on the collar that circled her throat and called forth her power in a blaze of bright sunlight. When she dreamed of him, she woke shaking, the echo of her power still vibrating through her, the feeling of the light still warm on her skin. The boy held her tighter, murmured soft words to lull her to sleep. "It's only a nightmare," he whispered. "The dreams will stop." He didn't understand. The dreams were the only place it was safe to use her power now, and she longed for them. On the day the Verhandler made land, the boy and the girl stood to the rail together, watching as the coast of Novi Zem drew closer. They drifted into harbor through an orchard of weathered masts and bound sails. They were sleek slopes and little junks from the rocky coasts of the Shuhan, armed warships and pleasure schooners, fat merchantmen and Fajardan whalers. A bloated prison galley bound for the southern colonies flew the red-tipped banner that warned they were murderers abroad. As they floated by, the girl could have sworn she heard the clank of chains. The Verhandler found its berth. The gangway was lowered. The dock workers and crew shouted their greetings. Tied of ropes prepared the cargo. The boy and the girl scanned the docks, searching the crowd for a flash of hot-rendered crimson or summer blue, for the glint of sunlight of Ravakan guns. It was done. The boy slid his hand into hers. His plan was rough and callous from the days he'd spent. His palm was rough and callous from the days he'd spent working the lungs. When their feet hit the planks of the quay, the ground seemed to buck and roll beneath them. The sailors laughed. "Farewell, Fentomen," they cried. The boy and the girl walked forward and took their first rolling steps in the new world. "Please," the girls prayed silently to any saints who might be listening, "let us be safe here. Let us be home."